Video is about planes. I have a selection of 3 here. In addition to this, you'll be using during the course of manufacturing your project a plough plane and a rebate plane. But this video is just going to discuss or talk about these 3 planes. This one you should be familiar with. This is a smoothing plane. You should have used this at some point in your workshop career. This is another version of a smoothing plane, and it has a wider sole on it, a wider base. This part's called the sole, and this version has a wider sole, and this is for doing or planing large flat surfaces. So it's just a bigger version or a wider version of the standard smoothing plane. This one you probably haven't used. This is called a jack plane, and this one's been taken apart, and I'll show you how to put this back together again in a minute. And you'll see it's got a much longer base, a much longer sole, and this one is ribbed, and the idea of that is it helps the plane glide over the material more easily, because obviously there's less of the sole in contact with the material. These gaps allow that to happen. To put the plane together, I'll maybe tell you the names of the different parts first of all. So I have the front handle or the fore handle. I have the rear handle. This is the one that does the work. This is what allows you to push the plane. This handle allows you to put pressure on it. As I said, I have the sole on the underside, the main body of the frame. This part is called the frog. This is the adjustment lever. This is the locking nut or locking screw. Adjustment wheel. I have the blade itself, which is held in place with a screw. So I can take the blade out of there. That's the bit that does the work. That's the cutting edge there, very similar to a chisel. This is the cap iron, which keeps pressure on the blade, stops it from springing up when you're planing, and keeps the cut uniform all through the length of the material that you're planing. And I just want to adjust this with a 3 or 4 millimeter or 2 or 3 millimeter gap at the top. That's the size for softwood. This is called the lever cap. This is what clamps this assembly onto the frame of the plane. So if I just put that into the slot, I need to be wary of my fingers here because obviously that blade is quite sharp. Put the lever cap in. That screw's a bit loose. I can tighten it by hand, or I can use a screwdriver. Clamp the lever cap down. Look down the sole of the plane and turn the adjustment wheel until the blade just sticks out the bottom and no more. So I want to just have the blade sticking out about 0.5 millimeter, and I want to use the adjustment lever to make sure that this gap is parallel all the way across the length of the sole, or the width of the sole, sorry. Once I'm happy that I've set the blade up, need to advance that blade a wee bit further out the bottom. Once I'm happy that I've set the blade up, I can then use a screwdriver and I can just lock that depth of cut in place. So hopefully by locking that screw there, that stops the material as you're planing from pushing the blade up, and that keeps the depth of the cut set. The last thing I'm going to do is put a wee bit of wax in the sole, and that's going to help me plane a wee bit more easily. Anytime I'm leaving a plane, make sure that you leave it either in the tool well with the blade off the surface, or use a pencil to put the plane on to keep the blade off the surface. The other way of doing it is to put it on its side, but of course that exposes the blade. What you're trying to do is preserve the sharp edge on that blade. So the more you lay it on the bench, the more it chips the edge, the harder it is for you to use the plane. Jack plane, smoothing plane, wide sole smooth and clean.